This RealAg Radio podcast is brought to you by Coragen Max insecticide from FMC. Get fast, selective, extended control of grasshoppers, Bertha armyworms, diamondback moth, and cutworms in a convenient, concentrated formulation. Coragen Max insecticide works alongside beneficials for a 1-2 punch that keeps the fight going long after you've left the field.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio.
Yes, hello and welcome to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio Channel 147. I am your host, Lyndsey Smith, and it is Thursday, April 25th. And do you know what that means? That means it is time for the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. We've got a fantastic lineup for you today. We're going to start in Ontario with Gerrit Herrema. We're going to stay with Ontario and head down to see Steve Twynstra. Then we're going to jump to Manitoba and talk to Fred Grieg. Off to the Peace River region of Alberta to talk to Jesse Meyer. And then to round out the show, we've got Colleen Redlick. She's based at Saskatoon with Pioneer Seeds Canada. We are going to talk about, of course, being patient in the spring, which is sometimes a very difficult thing to do. Sometimes the weather is just nasty and it's pretty easy to keep the seeder or the planter in the shed. Other times, not so much. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about perhaps some last minute comparisons and things you can be doing to get the most out of those input dollars this year, because certainly that is going to be a focus. So my question for the farmers this week, they of course don't know this when I call them up, but I'll let you know and you can let me know, is what has changed the most year over year? So from last year, what would you say is your biggest change on the farm this year? So if you've got feedback on that, or of course anything we do here at RealAg Radio or at RealAgriculture.com, you can always call that feedback line 1-855-776-6147. You can zip me an email, lsmith@realagriculture.com, or of course you can find us all on social media. We're on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. Go subscribe. You can find us. And please do. And actually, this week, I'm happy to say I had not one, but two different farmers reach out and say they'd love to be on the Farmer Rapid Fire and added their name to the list. So thank you both for doing that. I appreciate it. Okay, let's start this Farmer Rapid Fire brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada right here in Ontario. It's Gerrit Herrema. How are you, Gerrit? What's keeping you busy?
Well, we are currently cleaning out our compost bedded pack for our dairy herd. So we're getting a good run on some manure, and that way we can get this done and figure out where the rest of our manure is going to fall. That is the big plan for the week.
Okay, so is it a full pull to clean out that barn? Like, how long does it take you?
We figure about 12 hours to 14 hours, depending on how much is in here and such. We've been able to kind of stage it over a couple days or 3 days, and just it's less stress on the cows, and we're not keeping them on the scrape alley where they stand for too long. And we think we don't lose as much milk production doing it this way compared to trying to do a full pull, start at 5 in the morning and finishing at 7 at night by the time you get everything finished up and rebedded and whatever. So it works pretty good for us.
It's one of the things that I don't think people who don't dairy farm maybe entirely understand is how disruptive that could be to the cattle's lives and therefore milking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You try and work around it, and it takes some time and some trial and error to figure out what works best for us. So this is the way my dad likes to do it. It's less stress on him and people and everything else versus trying to do a mad dash and get it done. So, and it's the right time of year. We're not having to pile outside, which is nice, and having to respread. So if we get it done at a good pace, we can get on to the next job.
So speaking of, how are the fields looking for getting ready to get some seed in the ground in the next little while?
So we have some oats actually popping up. We got in on April 1st.
Nice.
We also got some hay seeds we put in a week later. I haven't been back to check them yet, but I'm sure they're not far along. And then corn, I haven't even pulled out the corn planter, but it's a new planter last year, so I'm not overly worried about it. But we should, when we get this pack cleaned out, and the dragline guy in the area is supposed to be coming in within a few days after us, and we can get him to spread the liquid on and clean out the last few pen packs. We'll probably be planting corn sometime either early next week or, towards the 1st of May.
Yep. Okay. It's coming up fast. I feel like we were it felt like a rocket ship, and you did say you put in oats on April 1st, and then we were zooming towards spring, and then everything sort of slowed down. So were the oats on April 1st a bit of a trial, or do you often do like a frost seeding of an oats or something like that?
Usually we try and do an early seeding of oats. Usually we try and have the drill going before the 15th of April. It was just the weather kind of aligned that we could go early. And the pattern we've been seeing over the last few years is we get a good stretch of weather that end of March into the beginning of April. So we try and capitalize as much as we can on our light land to get something in and get something happening. So then come 1st of May, when we want to get corn in, we're not trying to worry about getting cereals in and hay seeds and trying to get manure out. We try and stage it that way, and we think it just helps to keep the season moving because, we're looking at the hay fields. I think we're almost a month away from doing first cut. So we got that in the back of our minds as well.
Yeah. When will you typically do you take the oats as do you silage it? What do you do with the oats?
The stuff on April 1st will be for grain.
Okay, cool.
Between us growing a bunch of cover crop and we had a contract with a local feed mill that changed ownership. And then I've just been working with a seed dealer out of Lyndsey a little bit, and we buy the oats from him, and then he'll take our oats for cover crop seed. So it works out, and he picks them up at the farm, and we don't really have to worry about them in terms of trucking and whatever. So that's good. And then the other oats that we put the hay seeds with, we'll cut and chop them and put them in the silage bag for the cows.
Cool. Now, my question this week, and I'm going to give us lots of time because I feel like there might be a lot here. My question this week is, what is the biggest change on your farm from last year?
This year, we bought a used forage harvester package that Dad and I are going to try and get up and going. We hired it in before, and we stumbled into a decently priced and condition-wise was in good shape. So that's kind of going to be our challenge, but we think it's a huge opportunity now, mostly from the standpoint of we were trying to do oatlage after wheat, and the forage harvester guy that was in the area, he was busy doing corn silage, and it wasn't opportune for him to come and switch the head over to do the few acres of oatlage we wanted to do. So we're trying to capitalize on that. And then we're also exploring doing winter triticale after corn silage or wheat or something like that. Just to maybe maximize our acres a lot more, because with the price of land and everything, every little bit can count. And if we can get these forages as a cover crop to work in our rotation, I think we can either cut back on some hay acres or sell some more hay and just really maximize what we currently farm.
That's a kind of a huge undertaking, but I see where it makes sense. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take more time, and it's going to be a huge learning curve, but I'm pretty excited about it, but I'm not real excited until we're done first cut.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there is that. You're allowed to be cautiously optimistic. Definitely. But I mean, a specialized piece of equipment like that, it does, as you mentioned, it means that you can do things on your own time that work for what you guys want to do. And don't have to worry so much about the custom side, which is, it's pretty exciting, but a bit daunting. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we had a great relationship with our guy in Stoke considered the family great friends. And he even came out because he used to have the same harvester as us and gave me some pointers on what to look for and such. So, you know, it was great of him to do that, and hopefully that relationship still continues.
Yep, for sure. Awesome. Okay, well, you've got a busy day ahead. I do thank you for taking a bit of time out of your day to chat with us, and good luck getting all of that done before you've got to get crop in the ground sometime next week. I hope it goes well.
Thanks, Lyndsey. Thanks for your time.
All righty. Take care, Gerrit.
All right. Thanks, Lynn. We'll talk soon.
All right, absolutely. Those are those absolutely big jobs that need to get done, clearing out either compost piles or full barns, yards. Definitely one of those jobs that keeps everybody busy this time of year. This is your quick reminder to stay safe while you do it. Always look behind you. Make sure kids, if they're around, they're wearing high vis and know to stay out of the way. This is definitely one of those things. I'm just going to mention it on our farm as well. It's always a huge concern. We've laid out the ground rules of where kids can be and what they can and cannot do when there's equipment moving, especially doing a big job like that constant back and forth of cleaning out a whole barn. It's really important. I find kids, they really don't understand that the person in the tractor, probably can't see you, but perhaps more importantly, they can't hear you. And it doesn't matter if you wave and yell and all those sorts of things, they can't hear you. And that is just a super important thing that we instill in our kids. And we've got some designated zones that kids are allowed to be in when there's tractor running. But usually, if there is tractor work like that going on, they're just not allowed anywhere near it. And that's just how it goes. Okay, it is, of course, the Farmer Rapid Fire here on RealAg Radio, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. We are going to stay in Ontario for our next visit. We're headed down to Grieg to see Steve Twynstra. If you've got feedback on today's show, or if you'd like to join the Farmer Rapid Fire, please just zip us a call on that feedback line, 1-855-776-6147. Or, of course, you can send me an email, lsmith@realagriculture.com. Do love to get your feedback. And, of course, it's been a very busy week already. And sneak peek, I will cover this at the end of the show, but I am hosting the Issues Panel tomorrow. So Sean is away, and I'll be hosting the Issues Panel. I've got Sherilyn Jolly-Nagel from Saskatchewan joining us, Kelvin Hepner, of course, of Real Agriculture, and I'll have the beef market update with Ann Wasco as well. Okay, let's take a break. Let's stick with the Farmer Rapid Fire. I'll be back right after this.
It's now time for a product spotlight. We're joined by Jody Griffin, Program Coordinator for the Livestock Price Insurance Program. Why should producers purchase an LPI policy?
You know, listening to you and Ann over the last couple of weeks on those market reports, because LPI is a forward-looking, market-driven program, that type of news also set that back on the price insurance. At the beginning of March, you could buy calf coverage at $394. Well, now we're down to that $366 range. And if the message has got to be sent to say anything, it's that now is not the time to get complacent when we're in this type of environment. This tool is as important as we always say it is, but I would say it's even more important. And I just need to remind these producers that LPI is about the best defense you can have against a border closure threat. Price insurance, it's about protecting the down in the market.
Make sure everybody go to lpi.ca to find out more.
Choose Viatude fungicide and unleash best-in-class sclerotinia protection in canola and premium protection against white mold in soybeans. Viatude contains a powerful premix of Onmira Active and prothioconazole. This unique combo delivers high-performance disease control, crop safety, mix compatibility, resistance management, and advanced mobility for excellent coverage and superior plant protection. Choose Viatude fungicide for stronger, more vigorous crops.
Welcome back to the Farmer Rapid Fire here on RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147. I am your host, Lyndsey Smith, and joining me now on the line is Steve Twynstra at Grieg, Ontario. I think I said it right. Steve, how are you?
Yes, you did. Doing good, Lyndsey. Thank you.
All right.
We should get you on more often. Sean always gets it wrong.
Well,
right.
you know, you let him know that. You let him know that. I would gladly do this.
I try.
Okay, thank you.
I try.
I do like this show.
It's our little thing we love.
All right, so what we are here, I hate to say it, we're like late April. It feels a bit strange. We had such a strange winter and an early start, it felt like. And then I don't know where you are, but where I am, it feels like we're sort of been stalled in the same week for 3 weeks. So how close are you to getting started planting, or are you already rolling?
Well, planting is, we're just kind of waiting for things to warm up. We had frost night before last. Frost last night, it's like 5.5 degrees here right now. Wind is chilly out of the northwest. Had some rain/sleet a couple hours ago, just after daybreak. And yesterday, or on the weekend, we had snowflakes or graupel in the air here. We've had enough rain. Ground saturated, so it's starting to dry out because humidity is actually low with the cool air. So things are drying out, but we just need to get some temperature on our side. Days are getting longer, seeds in the warehouse here, shed, planters ready to roll. We're trucking some grain to keep things busy, but other than that, we're just trying to be patient. To be honest, often we don't usually kind of get into it until the 1st of May anyhow, so we're not behind the schedule yet. We're just kind of waiting for it.
And it sounds like you are ready. Is there any sort of last minute stuff you're still working on so that once you get rolling, you'll just keep rolling, or are you ready?
Well, we put upgraded boundaries in the tractor yesterday, so I guess we're good to go. And we got nitrogen finished on our wheat 2 days ago, and some sulfur, so we're kind of where we need to be there. These cool nights aren't helping that out any. There's a bit of burn happening. But as far as last-minute things, we're still toying with the idea of some prescriptions. If we don't get them figured out right, I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it on some seeding rates, and that'll tie in with our side dressing nitrogen rate on our corn. But other than that, it's just kind of being patient right now. And keep things happening. Any of your listeners that have trucks and trailers, grain trailers, know that it's always exciting when all of a sudden the taillights quit working and you start pulling wiring harnesses apart. That's what we're working on today. That's what Steve's working on.
Yeah. Find any gremlins yet?
Corroded wires are the bane of our existence anymore. So, we put people on the moon, and they can even find 15-year-old satellites that are 15 billion miles away or something. But we still got to figure out a wiring harness on a trailer that lasts more than a decade or something like that.
I feel like
corrosion getting in it.
Yeah, I feel like we should start a list of things that seem like they should be fixed, but they're not. Because I hear you there. Now, how does the wheat look?
We've got some winter kill in a few spots where water was sitting that we weren't expecting to see. So, a little disappointing. Overall, the crop's looking not too bad. Tiller numbers are decent. Populations are decent, except for some compacted areas and where some water was sitting. So at the end of the day, we still have a decent crop out there. The burn that we're seeing right now, because of nitrogen, we put up pretty high rate on liquid. So it'll grow out of that once we get some heat again, maybe this weekend. And we'll be good to go. But overall, things are looking not too bad.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're not alone on the drown out spots as far as where water was sitting. That was definitely, looks like to be anyway, the biggest culprit for winter kill around here as well. So for sure. And so what do you do with your drown out spots? Do you reseed them to something? Do you fill them in? Do you just leave them? What do you do with them?
I'm a pedigreed seed grower, so we can't really fill them in with anything different. So, no, we just kind of bite it and carry on. When I'm not putting nitrogen on there when I was spraying kind of thing. But it's just pockets here and there, right? It's not fairly widespread. If it was widespread across farm, you'd probably just tear it out and or do the burn down and plant something else. But ours is we're salvaging right now, and it's mostly just on the loamy soils that really hold the moisture too, that don't drain as well naturally. So and that just seems to be par for the course on some of these farms. It was pretty mild winter here, and we did get a lot of moisture, so there was a lot of water sitting at times. It never really got a chance to freeze off and protect the crop that way.
All right, so I have a question of the week, and and I've decided. Here it is. So. Give me your worst. It is, what will be your biggest change on the farm from last year?
what will be our biggest change? We don't change too much around here. We stay on the rotation pretty religiously. And I guess the biggest thing is going to be hoping our markets rebound, because you said, what's the biggest change? It's going to be that gross revenue figure at the end of the day. We had pretty good yields last year, coupled with some pretty decent market prices that we'd hedged. And on top of all that, there was we had the bomb issue and that sort of thing, but we seemed to work our way through that one not too bad without any serious discounts. It was more localized than what we experienced personally. So I think the biggest hit's going to be on the revenue side this year. Costs, of course, are up. Equipment is ridiculous on the maintenance costs. And your machinery manufacturers or short-line manufacturers listening out there, you got to get your supply chains figured out and get the quality of your parts up and the quality of your builds back up to what we're used to, and get those costs in line, because it's kind of unacceptable when you get some of the bills for axle seals or stuff like that on a 3-year-old tractor that just kind of burn my craw a little bit. That aren't covered under warranty on a 3-year-old high horsepower tractor.
Yeah, of course not. Equipment is it's no secret, it's my least favorite thing. And you've exactly hit on why, is that parts and equipment and it just, the upkeep and all those things, it just seems like it's just an astronomical cost for seemingly tiny little things that you need, and it just seems to get worse every year. And that's, of course, completely anecdotal, but it is probably my biggest.
It's not anecdotal. It's reality, Lyndsey. Yeah. We have a bunch of equipment around here, and just the quality of the new equipment that we've acquired in the last few years. Not even close to what we experienced in the 90s, 80s, early 2000s, that sort of thing. The last 5 years, it's just dropped right off. And then the issue is then when you have to replace some of these things and they're out of warranty. And like I'll say, we have a 3-year-old tractor that's 500 horse, 520 horse. Both axle seals are out of it this year and not covered under warranty. And they want ridiculous numbers for a seal. Come on, this is getting a little too extreme. They need to buckle down just like growers have to when we get into some lower prices as far as the manufacturers go.
Now, that's on just even on the cost side and the fact that you have to do it. How are you finding as far as parts supply? You did mention the supply chain. Have you had this spring, at least so far, have you had issues with long timelines for getting replacement parts or things that you need?
We've been pretty good that way. We've got a pretty good dealership, whether it's green or red or other color in the neighborhood here. And Southwest Ontario's highly capitalized when it comes to that. And maybe that's part of the reason why our costs are so expensive on some of the equipment. But I still think there's some significant efficiencies they've gained. But getting back to your question, the availability really hasn't been too bad of an issue for us, fortunately. It's just the cost of standard items that are somewhat specialized that we can't outsource through third party.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Steve, I hope the warm weather in the forecast materializes this weekend, and you're rolling next week. We'll see how it goes.
Let's get 10 days of nice 20-degree weather or high teens, and high single digits at night, maybe low double digits, and be ready to roll here. There'll be a lot changes to get on schedule again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've put our order in. We'll see what transpires in the next 15 days.
I appreciate that. Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. Take care, Steve.
I wish all your listeners a safe season, and hope things go well.
Absolutely. I second that. Okay, let's take a quick break here from the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. And we're going to head to Manitoba right after this.
Peter Johnson at Wheat Pete, RealAgriculture.com, and what an opportunity! Oh my gosh! You think you can't grow better wheat? You are absolutely wrong. We're going to show you how to strive for those record wheat yields that they get in the UK and in New Zealand. You can grow 150 bushel wheat. I'll show you how.
Catch Wheat Pete's Word every Wednesday on RealAgriculture.com or download the podcast on iTunes or Spotify.
Before you get back in the field this year, spend some time with the Corn School on RealAgriculture.com. Get all the information you need on hybrid selection, planting depth, crop inputs, and more from a wide range of industry experts. A massive library of video content is available on demand when you need it most. Spend your time outside of the field, inside the classroom. with the Corn School on RealAgriculture.com.
Welcome back to Real Ag Radio here on Rural Radio, channel 147, Sirius XM. And of course, it is Thursday, which means it's the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. And this segment is brought to you by Viatude, the new fungicide for canola and soybeans. Get best-in-class protection from two of the strongest sclerotinia and white mold actives on the market. We hop now to Manitoba and Fred Grieg. Fred, how are you?
I couldn't possibly be better, Lyndsey.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a beautiful spring day.
I love this. This is the positivity I am here for. My partner Chris has a saying when I ask how he is. He says, any better, there'd be a tax. And I like that. So you feel free to use that one.
Nowadays, it doesn't take much to get a new tax, so that's maybe not saying as much as it used to.
Oh, yeah, or maybe it's saying a lot. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so remind everybody, you're of course a pedigreed seed grower, right? What do you grow there on the farm?
Yes, absolutely. Well, we grow all the cereals and some pulses, and the only thing we don't grow that's pedigreed is canola and sunflowers occasionally, and a bit of corn for the cows.
That's right. They do like it. They'll eat barley too.
They do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They will eat anything, actually. Yes.
It's true. But that's what we love ruminants for. They're fantastic at eating all sorts of things that maybe we don't want to. And then they turn it into meat.
Yeah. That we all want to eat. Well,
yeah.
That we want to eat. Sorry, not all of us.
Yeah. Well, most of us.
Most of us, yeah.
Most of us. All right. So then this is, of course, a pretty busy time. We're into late April. When is the seeder already rolling? When do you get going?
Yeah, I kind of tell everybody we're doing a soft start. We are sowing onto some sunflower stubble, which is a little drier than the rest of our field. So we're making sure the seeders are working, and then next week, I think, depending on if we get much rain, there's a bit in the forecast. I think we'll be full at it Monday, hopefully.
So two things. First, let's start with the stubble. So is it drier because of those gigantic taproots that go way down and help drain the soil, or do you put sunflowers on lighter land? What's the magic sauce there?
Yeah, no, the first part, exactly. They just use so much, they're so efficient at using moisture, going down and getting it, and it's a longer season, so it just always seems to be always a bit drier, and there's a lot more exposed dirt showing because we've started sowing them with a planter, so we have to do a bit of pre-seed tillage to make the planter work nice. So yeah, it just less moisture on top, and we can get going. Mm-hmm.
So does that mean would that ground be the stuff that gets worked the most for you? Or are you mostly a minimum till kind of operation?
Yeah, absolutely we are. Yep. Yeah, we are. And if it wasn't for the planter, we'd been no-tilling the sunflowers too before that. But we got the planter for the corn, so now we're trying to. We did some beans with it last year, and some canola and sunflowers. So yeah, bit of an experiment.
Make use of it. You got it, so you may as well.
Yeah,
yeah.
Absolutely.
try not to do a better job. All of those fun things. So I like the idea of a soft launch for seeding. I like this idea of walking before you run. Yeah. Are you doing anything significantly different this spring?
Not really. We are not going to grow sunflowers because the price on those has gotten hit pretty hard, and even movement-wise, we are contracted some oil sunflowers from last year still in the bin, so it's hard to get too excited about growing those again when your bins are full. So we're not going to do that, and we are doing. We did some more work on some precision ag, and we've got some soil zones made out, and we're going to evaporate our fertilizer again. So on a couple thousand acres, I think, is what we're going to do. So we're excited to see if that just takes our yields to the next level and gets us a little more efficient again.
How long have you been doing precision fert?
We tried it about in around 2013, 14 when it just was crazy wet here. Mm-hmm. So we kind of abandoned it. And then, we slowly started doing yield data, collecting that. And now with the soil zones, I guess it'd be on a small scale, 3 years now.
Okay. And preliminary results, do you feel you're better matching your fertilizer applications, or are you actually saving total tonnage?
Yeah, we weren't trying to save money. Was our goal. We were trying to just reallocate it into the best spots, and I think we're doing that, and maybe getting a little better. I farm with a son and son-in-law, and they're certainly more into that. I was more of the broader brush approach, maybe, Lyndsey. Is that a way to say it?
Yeah, that's fine.
As an old guy, so because I always like to remind them that I've grown a 15 bushel wheat crop and an 80 bushel wheat crop on exactly the same inputs. So that, but yeah, it is far. Inputs have gotten so expensive. So yeah, we're also doing fungicides that way too. So yeah, it's really, really exciting as the technology's gotten better all the time. I think it'll be a growth industry for sure.
Mm-hmm. So that is an excellent thing to remind your son and son-in-law of, and frankly, people at large, right? That ultimately there's this thing called weather and the timing of rain, etc., that can sort of be the most important and perhaps the smartest thing that ever happens. So I think that's great advice, that the same inputs can grow a great crop and a not so great crop. And it's not always what we get to decide. So do you remember what years those were that you grew those two crops on the same inputs?
I think it was 88.
The dry year.
Dry. And then it was about 95, I think. It just, everything clicked. It didn't get screaming hot. And it just was just one of those
lucky breaks.
Great to be alive years.
Exactly.
There's nothing to this farming thing.
Right? Sure. Yeah. That was sort of, I think for some areas, well, here in Ontario anyway, I think, the weather cooperated and so did the markets. So it was, and the year before it was hard to make a bad decision. And then of course the last 10 months, that's all sort of changed. So we'll see how that does. All right. Okay. The question I'm asking everybody, and you sort of touched on some of it, I think, but put it to you as well, like I'm asking everybody, what will be the biggest change on your farm this year from last or years before?
Biggest change? Yeah, I touched a bit on the precision ag. We've done a succession plan, and thankfully, since the recent budget, I'm glad we got that all in place. So I am going to slowly start to pull back on some of the management. I don't want to say headaches because I enjoy them too, but more of those responsibilities. And Jordan and Cam are going to start taking more of those on, and that'll probably be the biggest change. So I'm sure it'll be nothing but prosperity now for Avondale Seed Farm moving forward.
Yes. Yeah. And absolutely no arguments and no differences of opinion. Everything will be perfect.
Well, they are still super respectful, so they haven't haven't taken me out behind the barn and seen me or anything like that yet. So life is good.
Yeah, life is good. So that is a big change, I think. I don't think we should downplay that at all. And yes, you're right. Probably great timing given the announcement last week in the budget.
Yeah, like we were, we've been planning for it, and our accountants have, been warning us. So we were fully down the road, and then we just decided we had better make sure it happens, because with the way governments are spending money, you just know there's going to be extra taxes. So let's just make it happen.
All right, and this is your reminder to anybody out there who maybe is close to making those decisions. Might be a good time to speed that up. You've got till June 25th before the rules change. So there you go. Yeah. Get going.
No kidding.
All right. Okay, well, Fred, we'll leave it there for now. Lovely to speak with you again, and good luck with your soft launch, getting things rolling. I hope it's a great season.
Thanks so much, Lyndsey. You take care.
All right, let's take a quick break here on the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, and we'll hop to Alberta next, right after this.
Dad, we missed the window for a PGR in our cereals.
Why didn't you add it to the herbicide?
What?
With Manipulator PGR, we can apply as early as one tiller. Just add it to the herbicide, no separate pass.
Don't miss out. Manipulator PGR is proven in wheat, durum, barley, and oats to shorten plants and even out the main stem and tillers. This results in reduced lodging risk, improved harvest efficiency, and increased yield. Talk to your crop protection retailer for more info and to confirm acceptable tank mixes.
Hi, I'm Bernard Tobin, host of the Soybean School on RealAgriculture.com. Throughout the year, on the Soybean School, we'll bring you timely agronomic video content from planting to harvest, from the latest agronomic research to the latest in production technology. Check out our massive video library on YouTube, RealAgriculture.com, or download the audio podcast versions wherever you get your podcasts. The Soybean School is brought to you by BASF and Syngenta Canada.
Welcome back to RealAg Radio, here brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. It is, of course, Thursday, and that means it's the Farmer Rapid Fire. And I'm your host, Lyndsey Smith, and we head now to Alberta's Peace region to talk to Jesse Meyer. Jesse, how are you?
Hello, Lyndsey. I am doing good.
Are you staying safe then? How is all I hear on the news, I swear, is that there are fires. Are you near where there are fires in Alberta?
Oh, no, not yet, but they are starting to pop up here in the Peace region. Yeah, they had one last week north of the river, and there's one that's on the news near Peace River that's going on right now. So, yeah, not what we like to see or hear so early on at this time of year.
And are you very dry? Yeah. Like super dry?
Yeah, we are very dry. We are, there's no runoff. The rivers are really low. Personally, I don't think I've ever seen it this dry, this early. So yeah, definitely a huge concern, the moisture levels, which is kind of unusual for our area. Usually we have lots of snow and runoff and moisture this time of year, but not right now.
So this isn't necessarily, especially for the past few years, new, but how do you plan for the eventuality of a possible forest fire of epic proportions? I can't even imagine where I start.
It's definitely been on our radar a lot more the last couple of years. We never really thought quite as much about it. Even just having fire safety on our farm for the equipment in the field, or for grass or field fires that could happen in our area. Now, we do have a lot of farmland that breaks up these forested areas, so the risk of forest fires isn't that big of an issue. But we're just a lot more conscious about fire safety, making sure we have water on hand and our water truck full, and now we check our fire extinguishers on our equipment, and we burn brush piles over the winter, and we're going back and making sure that those are 100% put out, working them under. We have to really be conscious of those things.
Yeah, for sure. Now, how does the being so dry, has that impacted seeding plans for this year? Are you changing anything out? Have you tried any sort of water conservation changes or anything like that?
No, I don't. Nothing's changing on our plans. Our area is predominantly minimum or zero till already, so we're doing what we can there. Our crop rotation is all set. We're not changing anything on that front. We are starting planting here. Like some neighbors have started seeding, and I know there's farmers across the Peace region that have started seeding, which is easily 2 weeks earlier than average. And so, no changes in what we're planting, but it's going to be an early start to the season for sure.
Mm-hmm. So some neighbors already rolling. Is it tough to not then, or are you planning to get going too, as early as it is?
Yeah, no, we are. We're about to get started here too. We're just doing some final touches on our equipment and getting a few things finalized before we do get started. And again, that's just the very first. Have just started here the last day or two, so nothing urgent. But I would suspect by early next week, many farmers are going to be seeding. Of course, there isn't that when it's April 23rd or 4th. There isn't quite that pressure to get out in the field, although we will as soon as possible. But we do have time, and so that the pressure isn't quite there as if you were to start middle of May.
Yeah, it's not May 24th.
No,
we've got time. Yeah, we don't need to be pushing anything. And for anyone listening who doesn't know where the Peace region is, I highly recommend looking it up on a map so you know what we mean when we say north, and you know what we mean with a short season. So now you do have, of course, incredible daylight length in June. It's pretty remarkable.
Oh yeah, you can really now the days are getting quite long.
Yeah. Like when, okay, so to give people an idea, because actually I've never been up to the Peace region, and I really want to, because it's
really?
Yeah,
I don't think Sean has either.
I know, it's one of the only,
You both have to come.
Yeah, we should at the same time. It'll be great. But I want to come in June, because, that just to me is, that's the best time to come to experience that. Like, when do you get, twilight in June?
When do we get June 21st is the longest day, but I mean, on the air seeders, not very often do the lights come on when we're planting in the spring, because it's up so early and goes down so late at night. So on the longest days, you might get an hour of complete darkness, but not very long. No,
that's wild. Okay, that is so cool. So yes, okay, I'll tell Sean that we're going one of these Junes. To go to
do a farm tour.
Yeah, we'll do a farm tour. That's a great idea. I love this idea. Okay, I'll put it. Maybe we'll choose a year that there's not risk of fires, which maybe you'll get rain and it will be less of an issue. But I don't foresee that necessarily happening anytime soon. So we'll just have to wait and see. The question I am asking everyone for this week's rapid fire is: what is the biggest change from last year for your farm? What's the biggest change this year over last?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if they're big changes, just making small adjustments here and there. We've been growing a lot more. We've been growing hybrid rye, and so that's fall seeded. And so that would be a big change. We grow quite a bit of winter cereals on our farm, but the last year or two here, we've been switching to hybrid rye, and so we're seeing that come alive here now, and it's looking really good. Yeah, and that'd be the biggest change. And then we do quite a few trials too with different companies trying new varieties, and so we're trying some new canola hybrids and things like that. So
yeah, that's cool. Now, what would you say? So for canola hybrids, is it really about yield, or do you evaluate for things like shadow resistance or standability or disease resistance? What are you really looking at when you're trying to run some of those trials?
So the biggest thing for us is yield. So we're looking at which ones are the top yielders. They have to be a top yielder if we're going to grow it. And then, of course, there's multiple varieties from various companies that usually yield well. And then we look at other things like, of course, we're straight cutting a lot of most of our canola, so that's important. And then the disease package with clubroot resistance, and that's becoming really important for us as well. We're not in a major clubroot zone, but we want to keep it that way. And then, so agronomically, those are the things we look for. And then, of course, the relationships we have with those companies as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. Well, this is it's an exciting time of year, right? There's the possibilities are endless because we haven't actually really put anything in the ground. So I wish you the best of a seeding season, and I hope that you get some rain and the stress of the wildfires is not nearly what it was last year. I really do hope that.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope not. Of course, we don't want to see the smoke like we have in the last couple of years, and we hope for some rain.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would take a lot of pressure off for many people, not just farmers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, Jesse, thanks so much for joining me on the Rapid Fire.
Thank you, Lyndsey.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and I'll be back with this week's Pioneer Seeds Canada agronomist, Colleen Redlick, out of Saskatoon, right after this.
Does your N stabilizer contain an active ingredient load high enough to be agronomically effective? If not, it could be costing you time and money. If you're putting down a nitrogen stabilizer, put your trust in Koch Agronomic Services. Solutions like Super U, Tribune, and Anvil. Each delivers high active ingredient concentrations that low-rate products just can't match. Compare how imitator products stack up to agronomically effective solutions at defendyourn.ca.
I'm Lyndsey Smith from RealAgriculture.com. Join me Monday nights for The Agronomist, a 1-hour live and interactive show broadcast across YouTube, Facebook, and X. Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, I host expert agronomists from all over the country to give you answers to some of the toughest agronomic questions. Join us live or catch the replay Tuesday morning. That's The Agronomist with me, Lyndsey Smith, Monday nights live at 8 p.m. Eastern. Welcome back to Real Ag Radio here in the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. Joining me now is Colleen Redlick. She's out of Saskatoon for Pioneer Seeds Canada. How are you, Colleen?
I'm great, Lyndsey. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we are rounding out April. It's pretty exciting. The seeding season is just ahead. What keeps you busy on a week like this?
Just calming everybody down, I think, is number one. It's a beautiful sunshiny day here in Saskatoon, and people are out doing some soil temperatures and that kind of stuff and getting excited and ready to seed. But, especially with canola, we want to just take a breath, realize, it is still the last week in April, and we've got some time to plan and get everything going for a really good canola crop. We don't need to be rushing into the field in my area right now.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think that holds for a lot of areas. What's the moisture situation like for your region?
You know what? My region is large and variable is how I would characterize it. So some areas I go down to kind of that Hanley area and they are in, drought central, I guess. And we're already starting to talk about rain and think about preserving, what we've got for moisture. And then I go all the way up to the northeast to Aylsham, Hudson Bay, and it's a completely different story. So all over the map and just managing things, area by area and in some cases field by field.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things definitely that we heard today on the Rapid Fire from those farmers is what might be different this year. Crop prices definitely aren't what they were, and input prices have climbed, and so farmers are really focusing on that, on every acre, on those dollars and cents. How do you approach something like this in a year? What do you have sort of in the works to try and evaluate, how farmers spend those input dollars?
Yeah, I think we're definitely hearing that too, right? We haven't seen a lot of big swings in crop rotation. I think people are just looking to really maximize, what the ROI is going to be on that acre. So for us, and I'm in meetings today, you can maybe tell from the background, I'm in an office here and we are finalizing our trial program. And I think a lot of farmers are doing a lot of things on farm as well to help them better understand, where the inputs are going, where they're getting their ROI. So things like fertility trials are really easy ones that growers can do. And, obviously multi-year data under different conditions is something we're always encouraging. From a Pioneer side and Corteva side, we've got some, fungicide trials going on to look at applications and where, timing, where you're going to get your best ROI, when it's maybe better to skip it. And of course, on the hybrid side, that's always of interest, right? So we've got 3 new hybrids launching in the Liberty space this year, P520L, P519L, and P617SL. It's a mouthful, but it's lots of new exciting things. So, putting lots of side-by-sides out with our growers, as well as our full PKP product knowledge plot trials, just to help them understand, how the hybrid can really be utilized to maximize ROI on the acre as well. So it's exciting times. I think a lot of what's going on this week is that kind of planning for us and hopefully for a lot of growers. One piece of advice I would give them, just because, I'm talking to all of these guys and they are guys and gals, they are really excited about getting the trials out. Don't bite off more than you can chew, right? So it's great this time of year to have all these big plans, but sometimes when you have a trial on every field, it makes harvest a little complicated. So I think focus on, do what we can and make sure we get some great results so we can better understand where we're putting those inputs and how we're going to get a better ROI.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Good advice. Definitely, it can seem really exciting at the beginning, but then you got to realize you got to take this all the way through and manage what harvest is going to look like for sure. Now, you did mention, of course, a big area that you cover, variability for sure. What would be your one piece of advice in thinking about that canola? Do you really want to wait till that soil is warm? What's your best piece of advice for seeding before everybody heads to the field?
I think, you want to wait until, you've got decent, stable, warmer soil temperatures. I don't think we need to be too excited going in too early. There has been some work done kind of showing maybe a little earlier in May can be better than going on the later side. But make sure, you're waiting until the time is right. There's always the neighbor out scratching canola in at the end of April, and everybody gets really excited to go. But we do know that canola is the most sensitive to pests, and we think about, flea beetles that we've had in the last few years when it's small and it's growing slowly. So, when you have those warmer conditions, especially up my area here where we have, a little more moisture, get some nice warm soil, get that crop growing. And these, larger, aggressively growing crops are really great for outgrowing pests and getting your crop established and off to that great start. So practice a little patience. No one likes being patient, but I think that's probably, the best advice for the last week of April here for these guys.
Mm-hmm. And really good advice when you think about that flea beetle pressure. A slow growing canola plant is just, no one likes having to go spray either. So
it's a sitting duck. Yes,
it really is.
But insecticides are our least favorite thing to spray.
Exactly. Right. But you're right. When, under good conditions, that canola can be growing so quickly and just really overcome a lot of that pressure. So it's lovely to see it, roar through some of those growth stages, but, we need some heat first. So we'll wait for that. We'll try.
I like roar through. Maybe that should be a marketing.
There you go.
Marketing campaign.
You go right ahead. You can use that one. All right, Colleen, thanks so much for joining me here on RealAg Radio and the Farmer Rapid Fire. Really appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks, Lyndsey.
And with that, we wrap up today's edition of the Farmer Rapid Fire here on RealAg Radio, brought to you, of course, by Pioneer Seeds Canada. Big shout out to Colleen for joining me, and of course to all our farmers who said yes today, to Fred, to Gerrit, to Steve, and to Jesse. Thank you so much for taking time out of your week. To all of you listening, of course, if you've got feedback on today's show, or if you would like to join the Farmer Rapid Fire, you can send me an email, lsmith@realagriculture.com. You can, of course, call that feedback line, 1-855-776-6147, or find us across social media. We're on YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok. Hey, and you can always go to realagriculture.com for more of our coverage and to connect with us there. Everyone have a wonderful week. I'm actually hosting tomorrow's show and the issues panel, so super excited for that. And of course, Ann Wasco will be joining me for the beef market update. We'll talk to you again. Cheers.
Thank you for downloading this RealAg Radio podcast, brought to you by Coragen Max Insecticide from FMC. When you need to protect your crops from damaging insects, Coragen Max Insecticide delivers fast, selective, extended control of grasshoppers, Bertha armyworms, diamondback moth, cutworms, and more. Ask your retailer today.